Hi guys, Shem Opolot here. So, you're an entrepreneur, there's a ton of technology out there, and you can't seem to figure out which ones you need to do what. That's what this video is about. Let's get into it. Okay, so I'm going to show you about 9 tools that do various different things that are going to be really useful for you, either personally or professionally, or in your side hustle. Okay, so let's get into it. So the first thing is, it depends on what kind of business you have. Do you want an online presence? If you have an online presence, or you want to build an online presence, then the first thing you would need is a website. So then, what tools should you use to build a website as fast as possible? Well, the first thing is that you would need a domain name, but you don't necessarily need a domain name to start. Okay, but if you want a domain name, which is like, say in my case, shemopolot.com, your own personal custom domain, then the good option for you to choose is a site called namecheap.com, Namecheap, and I will leave a link to all these sites in the description. But name as in what is your name, and cheap as in cheap. I can also put it on the screen here. But yeah, so namecheap.com is a good site where you can go to purchase a domain name, and most of them are renewable over a year. And it's been a while since I bought one. I can't remember the costs specifically, but they're not too pricey. Maybe $15, maybe less. Maybe I don't think more than $50. Not more than $50 to get you a custom domain name, which is some are renewable over a year. Sometimes they start you off with a good deal to hook you. Maybe they give you like 2 years free and then you're hooked forever, things like that. Sometimes, depending on the hosting site you use, sometimes the hosting site gives you a domain, and again, they sort of lock you in some sort of 2-year deal. Be careful, be wary of those. Usually, where you start with your business, depending on the site you use, you may not necessarily want to use that site in 2 or 3 years, depending on how you grow or don't grow. So just be careful about locking yourself into some sort of 2-year commitment or something like that. Otherwise, to get a domain name, namecheap.com, that's a good place to start. Next place to start is, you have a domain name, you need a website, okay? So this is 2023, and yes, you could hire a developer to build your website, especially if you have very specific designs on the kind of website you want. Maybe you want something very complicated and very fancy with things flying all over the screen, in which case you probably have to hire a software developer, tell them what you want, fight with them for several months, and then eventually come up with some sort of final product that you're relatively pleased with, right? There's that. But if you just want something simple, depending on your business case or the reasons why you're creating the website, then there are a bunch of no-code websites that you should definitely look into, okay? So I'm going to put them in batches. So if you want to create some sort of writing website, which just sort of has information on things you write and things like that, then a good site to use is substack.com. Now, Substack is really a newsletter publishing platform, but it is a fantastic place to have your sort of written content stored in a nice place, okay? And it's really organized, it's really nice and formal looking, and it does what it needs to do, honestly, okay? So Substack, but also the beauty about it is it's a newsletter platform, so anything that you publish can go directly into the inbox of the person or the people or the audience that you're interested in targeting, okay? So this is what my Substack looks like. And again, I use my Substack to sort of dump my random creative writing stuff that I create before I publish it on the blog, or before it becomes some sort of production quality writing piece later on. So I don't really have a public Substack, but I read a lot of content on Substack, just because there's a lot of really good written publications on there that you should definitely check out. But so yes, it's just a site to go if you want to create your own Substack, which would be a personal site for you to put all your written content and stuff like that. Fantastic option. You should definitely check that out. However, if you want a site to just display things, maybe display your portfolio, maybe you're an artist, maybe you're a graphic designer, maybe you just have a bunch of, I don't know, really cool stuff that you do that you just want to show the world. You don't necessarily want to sell anything. You just want to say, I'm Shem, and here I am. Here's all the cool stuff that I do. Then you can use a site called Carrd, which is CARRD.co. And Carrd, if I can go over there really quickly, so you can just take a glance at it. Carrd.com is a good site for you to create sites that look like this. Okay, just very clean, very simple. Just sort of picture plus a few words, picture plus a few words, portfolio plus a few words, things like that. In that regard, it is absolutely free. Again, if you want to create a custom domain, then you'll have to pay some money. Otherwise, you'll always have some site that's sort of your name at, or yourname.card.co or something like that. But if you want your own custom domain, then you'll have to pay for it. But otherwise, displaying stuff, card.co is really good. If you want a sort of combo site that has a combination of displaying and also has other content stuff, publications, and things like that, which I guess would be really a combination of Substack and Card, then Squarespace or Wix are very good options for that. I will show you Wix.com just because my website is currently on there. That's going to change soon. This is actually a very good example of how not to handle this process. You know, I got really excited when I chanced upon Wix and they locked me into some 2-year deal, and it was really cheap. It was basically free, and I ended up staying with Wix for entirely too long because I wanted to finish the 2-year period, which ends this year. But it has worked for me well, I have to say. No shade to Wix. My blog content is on there, and as you can see, if you aren't subscribed to my blog, you totally should. I'll leave a link in the description. But so I have an about section on my site, which is just this, you know, about me and just a few scrollable items. Really not a lot going on there, and that's really the point of the kind of site I was trying to create at the time. But yeah, so combination of articles and display content, then Wix is a good option, or Squarespace. I haven't used Squarespace before, so I can't really show you something there, but it's very similar to Wix. I think maybe they just have certain cost implications depending on how long you plan on using them or what kind of things you plan on using them for. For example, if you want to integrate payments, okay, if you want to integrate payments and you live in Uganda, then Wix or Squarespace can get a bit complicated because of the payment integrations you often need to do mobile money transactions and things like that. Most of them don't really gel well with a lot of our payment integrations that we use here, things like Flutterwave, things like DPO payment, things like Bionic. And so for that, I would recommend another option for building a no-code website, which is WordPress. About 40% of the websites on the internet are created on WordPress. I believe that's a real statistic that I haven't totally made up. But WordPress is very popular, I think mostly just because it's one of the fastest that was ever built, but also because it has a ton of templates for different websites. A ton of templates, a ton of integrations. You can integrate WooCommerce, you can integrate the payment integrators we use in Uganda, DPO payment, Bionic, Flutterwave. All those can be integrated into WordPress. WordPress, you can create fairly complex websites on WordPress for really all the breadth of the functionality I just talked about, for displaying, for publications, but also you can add for e-commerce. You can also add e-commerce in one of those options. You can build that all on WordPress. So that's something to consider as well. That's probably where you should go, honestly. I recommend. However, if selling stuff is the primary reason why you're creating a website, then I do suggest you look into Shopify. Shopify is arguably the biggest company in online e-commerce today. A lot of large international companies have built their shopping sites on Shopify.com. However, again, the challenge with these things is it really is about your audience. How is your audience going to pay for this stuff? If, again, your primary audience is Ugandan, they're probably not going to pay using credit cards and debit cards, and therefore Shopify may not be great. I haven't used it before, so I don't know if the integrators work well with Shopify. I'd have to ask. Someone can let me know in the comments. But otherwise, I know the integrators work with WordPress, but if the integrators do work with Shopify, then Shopify is a fantastic option for e-commerce to sell products, both digital products like some sort of guide, some sort of if you want to create some sort of how-to guide for this, how to invest in 5 days, in 30 months, and things like that. If you want to sort of sell digital products, if you want to sell actual hardcore products as well, Shopify, fantastic, beautiful. You can create really clean things on Shopify.com. I highly recommend them. Honorable mentions are Podia.com and another site called Kajabi.com. Again, those do the same thing, similar things to Shopify, very good for selling products online. They're just a little bit more niche and just a little bit more leaning towards Western markets. Again, debit card, credit card is probably, it's a kind of, you have to think about who your target audience is and if they have access to Stripe or PayPal or things like that. Otherwise, listen, WordPress, integrations will probably do you good. And again, a lot of these no-code sites you can build on your own for the most part. I'm not a software developer, but my website, my Wix site, which you just looked at, I built myself. It took me one night. In one night, it was a sleepless night, but it took me one night. I built the whole thing and deployed. I wasn't selling anything on my site, so it was really easy for me to do that. That's why I used Wix, and it was also easy for me to set it up really quickly. But just consider all those things that I've talked about as you're building a website. But most importantly, all about this stuff is you want to use whatever helps you start as quickly as possible. You want to reduce the friction between you talking about your idea and actually executing it. So that's why no code is really useful, because ordinarily in the past you'd have to think, okay, I have to open a website, I have to find a developer, then you have to get online on Twitter and be like, hey, do you guys know good software developers? Then you find a good one, then he charges you 10 million and he's really good, but he charges you 10 million and you can't afford 10 million, then you sit there with your idea, then you don't make money, so the no-code sites are really good because you can start. And sometimes your site doesn't have to look perfect in the beginning, just get the stuff you need on there and then just start from there. And then as you get better, as you make more money, you can actually hire a developer to clean up some stuff for you, hire someone to make it look prettier, hire someone to integrate payment platforms, because the integration of payment platforms is where you may actually need someone to help you. But again, helping you with just the payment integration is entirely different from building the entire website from scratch. I would imagine it's slightly cheaper, and the devs can correct me if I'm wrong. But yes, so those websites will be really useful for you if you want to build a website, okay? The next tool I want to talk about is, well, the next option in your tech stack would be a sort of customer relationships management platform, portal, whatever you want to call it, okay? Customer relationships management is really just a system that houses all the information around your customers and your business, and if they're really good and sophisticated, then they also handle invoices, anything that the customers touch, invoices, reports, expenses, income, all that sort of businessy type information. You need a platform that manages all those. And so, again, because I'm your friend, I look for free options, right? Because that's what you need. At least my primary audience wants free things. But yeah, so they're obviously the larger ones. There's the larger ones like Salesforce. Salesforce is very powerful, one of the largest companies in the world in this field, in CRMs. But again, very leaning towards a Western audience. But you can look it up, but it's not free. They don't even have a free option, I believe. Salesforce is fully paid for. It's the kind of thing you would use once you've gone into a massive company, and then you're like, I really want something fancy and nice that caters to my needs. But if you're a small business, then first go slow. What you really want to use is something called Zoho Books. Zoho Books is free. As long as you are relatively a solo entrepreneur, you can just give an additional person the logins or something like that. But I know it allows one user and one accountant. So you can just sort of give your accountant access so they can get the invoice, expense, income data, and you can also configure taxes and all the rules around taxes, so it can compute those for you really easily. It basically allows you to not have to worry about all that stuff or have to necessarily hire someone full-time to do accounting and all that information type stuff, at least in the beginning. You still need an accountant to sort of help you make sense of the nitty-gritty businessy stuff, and also a tax consultant, and sometimes those two people are the same things, or maybe those two are housed within one company. But Zoho Books will help you with invoices, expenses, income, dashboards, customer relations, keeping all your customer information, sending out emails to them, sending out recurring invoices, things like that. All of that it will do for free, and it allows you to send I think 1,000 invoices a year. It allows you, if your company is making less than $50,000 a year, then it will be free. And again, if you're making over $50,000 a year, then my friend, you maybe need to pay for something bigger. Maybe Salesforce, maybe Zoho Books, other premium options. But otherwise, Zoho Books, completely fantastic. Another option is HubSpot. HubSpot is also a pretty good option for customer relationships management. It also allows you to send out newsletters to your clients and things like that. So HubSpot is one you should check out as well. But otherwise, Zoho Books, really good for managing all your business type information. Another option, which I recommend you also look into, is HubSpot. One of those two options will solve all those problems for you entirely. Otherwise, you may also need to use Google Drive just to store other business-related information, files, folders, documents, things like certificate of incorporation, all that stuff. You want to have all that stuff stored in some specific place that's organized. And those, you can either use Google Drive or you can use Notion. Those are the two options I recommend for that. Nothing outside that really. But yes, the next option will be something about email marketing. You need a way to contact your audience on a regular basis, whether that is monthly, whether that is weekly, whatever, over whatever cadence you think makes sense for you. But it's important to be able to contact them directly when you have a promotion deal going on, or when you have a pop-up shop somewhere. Then email is still one of the most powerful communication tools in the world, no matter what anyone says. I'm not everyday WhatsApp. Also because it's hard for you to like automate and segment messages to your WhatsApp audience. It's a lot easier to manage that via email. With some of the sophisticated emailing platforms out there, you're able to segment your audience into a bunch of different buckets. You can segment them by age, you can segment them by where they live, you can segment them by how much money they spend weekly or monthly or yearly, which allows you just to target them for specific promotions. So email is a lot more sophisticated in that way. But so what email marketing platforms do I recommend? Again, you should check out HubSpot. HubSpot has a fairly sophisticated email marketing platform. Again, that's free. You could check out MailChimp. MailChimp is free up to a certain size of audience. However, once you hit that cap, which is I think maybe over 1,000, something like that, maybe even lower, it begins to get expensive. So I would be wary about, again, locking yourself into something. But an honorable mention is Beehive, a platform called Beehive, which I use to host my 2 newsletters, TLDR Weekly and the Friday Fix, which you totally subscribe to if you aren't. I'll leave descriptions in the description. I'll leave the links in the description. But yes, Beehive is really good. I think it's free for up to 2,500 subscribers. You can email them for free, however many times you want. And so, but you just need a way to email your clients very regularly, to stay in touch with them or to update them on the progress of your business, and so on and so forth. Okay. Another tool is something for graphics. Okay. Now, if you want to do graphics, I really recommend Canva. There's really no better tool that I can think of for all your graphics needs than Canva. I probably even think most graphic designers are low-key just using Canva to do all the stuff they want to do. They just won't tell us. But Canva, and I'm just opening it up here so you get a look at it, but I'm sure you've seen this before. And the free version of Canva can do almost anything that you need to do, at least for your basic graphics, creating flyers and things like that, creating PDFs for you to send to people. But I think mostly you'll need Canva or graphics for social media, for creating flyers. And you can create, there are actual templates in Canva for creating those flyers. So for the most part, all you have to do is add your logo to them, delete whatever doesn't make sense to you, add this, remove that. And sometimes there are logos or there are icons that you don't have access to, but there are sites where you can go and fetch an icon and then paste it in Canva, so you can get around that need to get a pro version. The pro version obviously has immense benefits. I'm fortunate enough to be paying for the Canva Pro version just because I use Canva a lot, almost every day. And so for me, it just made sense. But it may not necessarily make sense for you. Check out the free version of Canva. You can also create presentations. You can create a resume in Canva. It's pretty sophisticated, and they've now integrated AI, so you can also generate ideas within Canva, and then you can turn those ideas into presentations or into flyers using AI. So it's fantastic. Definitely check out Canva for all your graphics needs if you aren't already. Okay. The next step that I want to talk about is a logo. Okay. So maybe that should have come before a website platform, but regardless, logo. If you want to create a logo and you can't afford a graphic designer, 2 website recommendations: logodelivery.com and logo.ai. They'll create you a logo in less than 10 minutes. It will cost you less than $50. And with that logo will also come all the branding materials that you need. And it will also allow you to adjust the sizes of the different logos if you want to, because usually adjusting those sizes requires you to message the graphic designer and say, hey, can you make me an image with these specifications? And you ask him about 5 times after you've already paid him his money, and eventually he just doesn't want to deal with you anymore. But using these platforms allows you to go and change and get as many shapes as you want for free after paying the initial purchase fee. So check out those 2. The next thing is probably how you would collect feedback. Which is feedback forms, which is absolutely essential. If you're providing a product or a service to your clients, you have to build in a method for collecting feedback from them. The first option I would recommend is obviously Google Forms, just because Google Forms will be integrated to your Google Drive, which you probably already use to store information. So just using Google Forms just saves you the need to use an external platform. Google Forms is completely free. It's relatively primitive, but depending on what needs you have for collecting feedback, for most people, it's completely fine. Most people don't need any other flashy things besides just asking, did you like the product or did you hate it, and why? Those tend to be the most important things for most people. However, I do want to give some honorable mentions. There's a site called tally.so, which allows you to create beautiful surveys. It's also completely free, and they're just a lot more attractive than Google Forms with a lot more options for you to customize. You can't customize a Google form in certain ways. And so for me, that's one of the most challenging things about Google Forms. They always just look like a Google form. You know, you can always tell this form was made in Google. No matter how cool or how fancy you make it look, it still looks like a Google form. These other platforms can really make some beautiful looking surveys and whatnot. And so an honorable mention that I want you to check out is tally.so. Check out, and I want to see if I can pull up one of the options really quickly. So let me pull up Typeform. Typeform, for example. Now, Typeform is not free, but if you want to create, depending on the size of your audience, okay, if you want to send an email out to about 20 people, 10 people, a really short one, you know, then Typeform, and I'm sure you've seen them because a lot of foreign companies use Typeform to create their surveys, but they're just so beautiful and they look nothing like Google Forms, and it makes filling out a survey a pleasant experience. So I absolutely recommend you try them out. So Typeform is an honorable mention. Tally.so, honorable mention. I will leave links to those in the bio. A really cool tool if you are very wary about the security of your surveys, if you're maybe collecting sensitive data like patient data or financial data, then you should check out Block Survey as well. I made a video, I mentioned it, or I used it in a video previously, and I'll leave that video link at the end of this video. But you should definitely check out those two. Otherwise, you just need a platform that can help you create surveys, okay? Last but not least, you need a way to collect testimonials, okay? Now, testimonials are slightly tied to feedback surveys. You could ask for testimonials within your feedback survey form. However, there's a site called Senja, which is specifically designed for collecting testimonials. And testimonials are just great because it's having social proof for the value of your product is such an important tool for marketing. If you want to show people that your product is amazing, the best way to do it is to have real people saying your product is amazing. And that's precisely what Senja allows you to do. It allows you to collect testimonials both in video and written form, okay? And I have these, and I can show you. Let me try to log in. Let me see if it will log me in really quickly. If it won't, then I'll just let it go. But otherwise, this seems like it's going well so far. I like this. Yes. All right, but so Senja allows you to send a link out to your audience, and they're able to send you a bunch of testimonials. Here are some of the testimonials I've received for my weekly newsletters, which is the Friday Fix. And so this allows you to put these on your site. So you can, after getting the testimonials from people, you can get a link which allows you to embed those testimonials on your website. So when someone goes to your website, they see all these cool testimonials saying, oh my God, this product is amazing, you should totally get it. And you can also do video. I know Ugandans are a bit apprehensive about making videos for this kind of thing, but hey, if someone makes you a video, that would even be, it's a lot better than written text. But yes, so check out those, I don't know how many tools I've talked about, but yes, and they will absolutely change your business and your personal life. But yes, so that's your sort of entrepreneur tech stack for all those tools that will allow you to be successful as an entrepreneur. I will leave a bunch of videos at the end of this video that you can watch here that are relevant to what I've just talked about. Otherwise, I will see you in the next one. Peace.